Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cult of personality. Like Mussolini and Kennedy, I'm the cult of personality. Yeah, you get it. Hello, I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and this is the Hot Tag. So, here we are. December 1st, 2023. Less than 7 days ago, the most improbable WWE return, possibly of all time, happened. And no, I'm not going to make any jokes about this thing. Like, I'm not going to say, it was our truth. No, I'm going to be serious with this. Because lots of wrestling fans, including myself, never thought it would be possible. But it happened. CM Punk finally returned to WWE. We've all seen the video of his return. I've seen it at least 12 times, so I know for a fact you've seen it. But it's still weird to think about. This is a guy who 10 years ago unceremoniously quit WWE. In the time between January 2014 and November 2023, CM Punk has done the following. Trashed the company at conceivably every single turn, had a go at UFC, less said about that the better, returned to professional wrestling after, we'll call it 8 years away, not only just to professional wrestling, but to WWE's biggest and newest competition at the time, AEW. He made a name for himself there in more ways than one, which have been covered extensively. He got fired from AEW and now has returned to essentially the promised land. It's one of the strangest things to have happened all year. And this has been a really weird year for wrestling. I mean, every time a big wrestler leaves WWE and trashes them elsewhere, the general consensus is they ain't coming back. Happened with Bret Hart, happened with the Ultimate Warrior. Look at what happened there. No one thought it was going to happen with Punk. Admit it. You weren't sure if Punk was going to show up or not. I wasn't sure if Punk was going to show up or not. But he did. And he showed up on Raw the following night. And he might show up on SmackDown tonight. I'm recording this before SmackDown, but who knows what could happen. But people have talked about the return itself, in extensive detail. What I want to talk about is if it's going to work or not. The main question that I want to tackle on today's episode of the Hot Tag is this. Will a CM Punk WWE return work? Now, normally, with any other person, this wouldn't be a question. They're being welcomed back into the company with open arms. Glad to have you back. Let's get along. But this is CM Punk we're talking about. The way he left is one of the most infamous WWE exits of all time. He basically quit after the 2014 Royal Rumble, didn't show up to work for months, and then was finally granted his release in the summer of 2014, might I add, on his wedding day. Then we get to his time in AEW. That is something I really want to talk about with this. Because his run in AEW, which lasted from 2021 to 2023, is both loved and hated in equal measure by wrestling fans. It's loved because, yay, CM Punk is back, and look at all these dream matches we could possibly have. Darby Allin, Hangman Page, Jon Moxley. This is going to be amazing. And it's hated because, oh no, CM Punk is back. He's going to make all the problems happen in AEW like he did in WWE. He's going to hinder the push of stars because he's the new top dog in town. But yeah, CM Punk was back. Who knew what would happen? Hindsight being what it is, though, Punk's AEW run ended horrifically. Like, no one knew that the brawl out stuff and the stuff at Wembley was going to happen because the run started so well. His stuff with Darby Allin was amazing. His feud with MJF is one of the best of the decade, and that is a fact. But then it just all went downhill. His feud with Hangman Adam Page is where things really started to fall apart, because it gave us a glimpse of CM Punk backstage. The man behind it all, Phil Brooks. The press conference post All Out 2022, that wasn't CM Punk. That was Phil Brooks, a man who was visibly exhausted at the prospect of working with guys who were far younger than him, far less experienced than him, but also essentially running the company that he was supposed to be the champion of. And he couldn't deal with that. And at the end of the day, that's on him. I mean, look, I get it. Sometimes emotions get the better of you. It happens. But Punk is in his mid-40s. He's been around the block several times. He should have known to act professional. Even when things don't go your way, even when you work with people you don't like, you have to act professional. That's how you want yourself to be viewed, as a guy who will make the best of bad situations. And to make matters worse, at least in my opinion, Tony Khan, just to get CM Punk to play ball, gave him his own show. What do you think Collision was? What do you think Collision is? Collision was nothing more than an attempt to get CM Punk back onto AEW TV. Collision was basically an excuse to get CM Punk back on TV and not work with any members of the Elite or anyone he just didn't like, period. People like FTR, Darby Allin, and Sting, they were cool with Punk, so they were allowed to be on the show, basically. But people like the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and especially Hangman Adam Page, no sir. You had beef with CM Punk, so you do not get to be on the show that is essentially his to run. And that's another thing, because Punk basically had total control over Collision. He got to control who was on it, he got to control what happened on it, and he got to control basically everything else that went with it. CM Punk was the Vince McMahon of Collision. He called the shots. And that didn't sit well with a lot of people, particularly one Jack Perry. We've all heard about what happened in Wembley Stadium. At this year's All In pay-per-view, Punk and Jack Perry apparently got into a shouting match backstage, and after his match with Samoa Joe, they engaged in fisticuffs. This led to Punk's firing. For the second time in his life, CM Punk was fired from a major US wrestling promotion. Only this time, it was his fault, and the company didn't wait 6 months to do it. Then, the rumors started cycling around. Survivor Series. Where was it? Chicago. Punk was a free agent. It all lined up, but surely his actions from All Out and All In would have stained his image completely. Surely WWE wouldn't welcome back somebody with that kind of baggage, somebody who they already had a tumultuous relationship with. They surely wouldn't welcome him back into the company, right? Wrong. If it felt like I was rambling for a bit, one, to be fair, I kind of was. Two, it was set up for the main thing I want to talk about, and that's the fact that Punk, now that he's back in WWE, needs to play ball. For CM Punk's second WWE run to work, he's going to have to get along with everyone, even those that don't like him or even those that he doesn't like. We've already seen the video of Seth Rollins' reaction to Punk's return. There's apparently more than just Seth, so he wasn't exactly welcomed back with open arms by everyone. That's probably why there is a behavior clause in CM Punk's contract, because if he violates that clause, it's not going to end well for him. I mean, this is Punk's second chance in WWE. Not a lot of people get second chances, but it's like Triple H said on the Survivor Series press conference, and I'm paraphrasing here. Love him or hate him, Punk grabs the headlines. He's the guy that gets everybody talking. And the way WWE has it set up, they want them to be talking about the good stuff. Like, hooray, CM Punk is back in WWE. Not the possibility of Punk getting into a backstage brawl with Seth Rollins simply because they hate each other, apparently. Punk said it himself on Raw. People change. People grow. In the time since he's been fired from AEW, he's had time to look back on his run with that company, evaluate what went wrong, and correct himself in hopes for better luck in the future. Now, that's just me being incredibly optimistic, but I'm an incredibly optimistic guy. I like to see the bright side in things. Am I excited for CM Punk's second run with WWE? Absolutely. Do I think it will work? That's up to Punk himself. That's on him. If he can play ball, then I think everything is going to be okay. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and that was the Hot Tag.